Quarantined Experiment 39. Dr. Harris Fimzar, formerly Senior Researcher Washington, now labeled under the alias of The Doctor. Brilliant and dedicated before he went rogue. Now the Doctor is one of the agency's biggest dangers. With the knowledge of how we operate and a continued willingness to experiment on everything and anything he can get his hands on, not only is finding the man difficult, but the agency also has to be on the lookout for any of the Doctor's experiments. Because the man has the habit of discarding them like trash, uncaring of the impact his creations are having on the world at large. Some are those our agents have no choice but to put out of their misery. Others are dangerous as they were humans that the Doctor worked on. The rarer or more dangerous as they retained their intelligence and willingness to use their newly gained abilities to the detriment of others. Such is the case with Experiment 39, the happy one. From what researchers put together, Experiment 39 was a failed psychologist, one who lost his license because he was a sadist who enjoyed mentally torturing his patients. His antics got so bad that one of them killed themselves due to his manipulation. He lost his practice when the patient's family managed to get their hands on his personal recordings about the deceased sessions. So they reported him, and that broke the floodgates. More and more patients piped up about how their sessions with him were. It didn't end with him just losing his license. The following lawsuits bankrupted the unethical man. The scandal itself caused his wife to file for divorce, taking the kids in the house with her. The man pretty much lost everything because of his sick tastes. The blows, one after the other, drove him into the bottle. He must have met the Doctor at one such bender, because most people wouldn't agree with a stranger who asks if they could experiment on them. He must have thought he had nothing else, so accepting the Doctor's request, the man was mutated into Experiment 39. Similar to 37, Experiment 39 seems to be the result of the Doctor's experimentation in non-tangible things such as mimetic hazards, things that need images or triggers for the phenomenon to happen. Unlike Experiment 37, which seems to be able to induce a vapid bliss in people in order to eat them. Experiment 39 is different. Like it was when it was human, Experiment 39 is a sadist that seems to want to cause people to take their lives. The happy one delights in poking and prodding at a person's weak points. 1,000 little needles all at their fears and worries. It loves to speak them in the victim's voice, making the voice it was using sound like it's from their own minds. This is only made easier that Experiment 39 can't be seen unless under certain circumstances, either through a camera or if a person is using a recreational drug. Because Experiment 39 constantly secretes a chemical into the air that not only muddles the emotional centers of the person who smells it, but actively blocks it from the vision. Viewing through a camera reveals its presence in a digital format because there are no organics for the happy one to affect. And when a person is under the influence, the drugs provide a counter to the chemical it uses to stay invisible to organic senses. Mood-balancing drugs that are prescribed by psychiatrists are also effective at revealing Experiment 39. This was how the agency was able to capture the creature. It had gotten cocky in its targeting, and the person it was haunting was one of his former patients, one he was fond of abusing. What 39 didn't know was the person recently took up recreational use of marijuana as suggested by a new therapist, one much more supportive and open-minded with mental wellness practices. Experiment 39 didn't know this, so when it snuck into her place in order to attack her, she had just finished several special desserts and had THC running through her system. She freaked out seeing him and captured the foot-tall creature in the thermos. At first, she thought she had a bad batch for her current prescription, but as the buzz faded and she heard Experiment 39 banging on the walls of the thermos, so she called it in, her report getting flagged by the systems the agency put in place. The cops got the case transferred to us, and an agent was there to meet her at her place to take the thermos into custody. At first, Experiment 39 was thought to be another newly discovered creature, but as it was examined, its testing result brought up similar results. those similar in the other experiments that the agency had captured in the past. Revealing this to the creature had it pretend at first it was a victim of the doctor, that it was captured and forcibly transformed into a monster. It was why it was approaching its former patient. But the researcher didn't believe it. Not just because it was a product of the doctor's machinations. Things he produced seemed to be not aligned towards good at all. There could have been doubt though, so what the researcher did was call in a favor. Because around this time, the blind judge was doing its rounds and happened to be visiting that base. It took one question to show that experiment 39 was lying. It took 2 questions to reveal what it was planning on doing. And it took 3 questions to reveal the depths of the sadistic desire that resided in the tiny monster. After that, the gloves were off. It's one thing to be victimized and transformed against your will. Confused and lost, lashing out is understandable, but to give up your humanity willingly? Not for a greater sacrifice, to protect someone, or even some misguided attempt to become better. To give up your humanity to indulge in your twisted fantasies, it's disgusting. And there is no mercy for such people. So experiment 39 had a metal plate bolted to its mouth to prevent speaking, leaving a small hole for nutritional paste to keep it from starving. And every invasive test will be run in order to determine what the doctor has done to this waste of a person. If possible, experiment 39 will be turned back to human form and tossed away like the gutter trash it is. And still, the doctor is missing. Where is he, and what other abominations will he drop in our laps?